Hello my dear friends, welcome to our channel Bhasha Dynamics. Today we will think about our new poem, that is All the World's a Stage. It is a poem from 10th standard English medium, Kumar Bharati book or textbook. 1.4 All the World's is a Stage. One thing is very important here, that this is the poem about the life. We have just watched one poem in the 9th standard that is called as a life, and it was related to the writer Charlotte Bronte. Now when we think about this poem, firstly I have to give the introduction because it is a necessity to give the introduction of this particular poem. Nobody requires the introduction of a William Shakespeare, great English poet William Shakespeare. His name is associated with the Shakespearean era in English literature when he started to write dramas, some we can say poetry, sonnets like that way, and maybe his short stories were also popular, but that was not that much popular in the field of literature as far as his dramas are concerned. Shakespeare was born in 1564 and he was died in 1616. One of the greatest dramatists, means why he was the greatest dramatist. 4 points I want to tell you that why William Shakespeare was one of the greatest dramatists. He was a somewhat melodrama was always associated with the dramas of Shakespeare, but in this poem somewhat his dramas were associated with realism, suffering of the characters, emotions which are associated with the human beings, and maybe psychological association with the various characters, psychological association with the human tendencies or human characters. That are the most important point of a Shakespeare. How psychologically the character on the stage can be suffer, that he has portrayed very nicely in his dramatical works. We can say one example, that was the Hamlet. How psychological points were associated with him. That was the strong point of William Shakespeare. Was one English poet born on Stanford upon Avon, that is the place where he had taken the birth, and he was a playwright, he was an actor also. Maybe in his history we can watch, he was associated with all the work related to the drama when he started to do the career in the field of dramas, or we can say in the field of plays. Widely regarded as the greatest writer in the English language and the world's prominent dramatist, I can say he was one of the visionary person in the literature. He was one of the visionary person in the drama, and he had changed the field of a drama with a very wide perspective. His presentation was very prominent, his characters were very prominent, closely associated with each other. That is the speciality of, we can say, Shakespeare. He was often called England's national poet and the Bard of Avon. What is mean by Bard of Avon? Avon's Stanford upon Avon, that is the, we can say, birthplace of Shakespeare, and he had taken the birth there in the place called as Avon. And what is the Bard of Avon? That is the particular, we can say, honor has been given to Shakespeare. But why this honor has been given? Because Bard of Avon means supreme person in the field of writing, supreme person in the field of dramatical writing, and that particular honor has been given to him when he started to do lot much more good career in the field of drama. Now when we think about All the World is a Stage, again there is an association with, we can say, human life, and we can say the psychological aspects. We can say how human being is suffering, what is the gain of a life, what is the output of the life. He wanted to tell us from this poem. This poem is taken, maybe this poem is taken from a play called as You Like It. As You Like It. It is a monologue of one character. That person, that character speak a monologue in front of an audience, and what he wanted to tell us that in how human being lives in a 7 stages in his own life, and how he is suffering, gaining the knowledge, gaining the experiences, how his, we can say, dependency is getting changed, how his maturity is getting changed, and at last when he just live the life, what type of achievement he would achieve. That type of things has been described in this poem. Here he compares the world to a stage. Here he compare the world with a stage. Remember, there was a close association of Shakespeare with stage. Because of that, he had compared the human life with the life of any actor or any, we can say, person who is performing the role on the stage of a drama. And he compare the world with the stage, and in this world we are taking the birth, means we are the characters. As far as if we are considering like that way, that world is a stage, then we people, human being, are characters, and we are performing different type of the role. What he wanted to tell us, where the drama of a human life is enacted, means remember that lines are very important. He compared the world with a stage, and when we consider the world as a stage, at that time any human being, when he will take birth on the particular earth, in the world, at that time he is enacting different type of characters. He is performing different type of roles in his own life. How he is living that life, how he is performing his role, that he wanted to tell us from this particular poem. According to me, this is one of the very fine poem of Shakespeare, and maybe meaning wise it is very difficult poem to understand, because according to me I will only give you the external factors, because for the 10th standard only external factors are important. But when we will think about it deeply, then various meanings, various images, various figure of speech are coming forward from this poem, and it is giving us lot much more, we can say, psychological, philosophical, we can enlightenment in our life. Here when we think about this poem of the William Shakespeare, at that time we can come to know that this poem is written into the blank verse, free verse. There is no proper rhyming scheme is there. But what is the philosophy? What is the falsafa? That is the word in Hindi. Loser in the life. Maybe we are the losers. At last, when we take the birth and when we just go away from this particular world, at that time, what is the achievement of a human being? And remember, everybody's journey is different. Every character on the stage of the world is different, and their life is different, and their experiences are different, their achievements are different, their egos are different. How that are differ, that thing William Shakespeare want to tell us in this particular poem. What I wanted to tell you before the start, that remember, maybe we can say, I can give one example to you. When any small flower will take birth on this beautiful earth, at that time it blooms from small bird to the beautiful flower. But it is giving the happiness to other people. It is giving the happiness to the nature. Human's life should be like that way, but human life is in a realistic way. It is associated with different type of egos, different type of psychological factors that Shakespeare want to tell us in this particular poem. Line wise, I will describe the poem, and after that we will think about what that meaning, what is the hidden meaning. One thing I want to tell you, that I will not describe all figure of speech from any poem in this syllabus when I will teach you the poem. I will take the different video, I will make a different video to establish, to give you the proper knowledge of a figure of speech or poetic device, because they are very complex in nature. I will only tell today that in which line which figure of speech is there, but in a lectures in coming time I will describe every poem with the poetical, according to the prospect of a poetical device. Then you will understand it very neatly, very nicely. I will start the poem and then we will think about the meaning, and I will use somewhat poetical language also, but understand it. Understanding is more important. Line wise you have to read that properly so that you can understand. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. First two lines, totally metaphor has been used by William Shakespeare. What he is saying, all the world is a stage, all world is a stage. It is a totally, we can say, live world is compared with the stage, and all the men and women merely players. Men and women who are taking birth on the earth, they are only players, means they are only actors. Means on the stage only for 3 hours one drama can be performed. Same way, when human being will take birth on the earth, at that time some lifespan has been given to him, some life limitations has been given to him, and within that he has to perform various characters. How many ages he is living on the earth? According to the Shakespeare, 7 different type of stages he is living on the earth. What type of stages are that? That is described in this particular poem. Third line. In the first 2 lines, metaphor has been used very nicely. One world is compared with the stage. Men and women were compared with the players of the stage, players of the drama. They have their exist and their entrances. Remember, when you will perform the drama on the stage, at that time some characters are taking the entry and some characters are going outside, backside to the stage. Same way here he is saying exist is referred for the death and entrances is referred for the birth. Means some people are taking, some children, some babies are taking the birth, and same time some elderly people, old age people, dotage people, they are getting they are dying, they are maybe they are accepting the death. What is the cycle? It is one type of energy flowing cycle also scientifically. Energy can neither created nor be destroyed. That is the energy conservation law is also applicable for the life. One energy is getting birth, and one energy is getting lost. But maybe all the energy is always constant. Forget about that. Come to the point. One man maybe they have their exist and entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. In his time, one man who will take birth on this earth, they have limited time span, and within that they have to perform various roles, they have to perform various characters, and how they are performing the characters we have to watch. His acts being 7 ages, his acts being 7 ages means within one life they can live the like 7 ages. 7 ages means each character is different, each, we can say, life in this particular life on the stage of the world, human being are performing 7 different, maybe going through from 7 different stages. What are they? We have to watch that. At first, the infant mewling and puking in the nurse's arm. Mewling and puking. Mewling means crying hard, and puking means maybe vomiting in the nurse's arm. When baby infant taking birth, at that time he is just watching this beautiful universe, he is watching this beautiful earth. At that time he is not conscious, he is not conscious at all. He don't know how to behave, he don't know how to just maybe control our emotions, control our physical activities. He started to cry very loudly, so that he said, Shakespeare said, mewling and puking in the nurse arms. At that time he is vomiting also. Nurse arms. Dependency is there. What is meant by dependency? He can't control his own life. Totally life will be depend on the other people. First example is the example of the nurse, but the second example will be the example of a mother. Till the age of 2 or 3, he is totally depend on a mother. Mother is taking care of a small infant or a child. Then what will be happening? Suddenly in the first stage, that boy is totally dependent on maybe people, other people, and maybe they are crying, they are omitting, and they are maybe depend on the other persons like nurse and mother. Then second stage will come. In the second stage, what will be happen? That boy can be moved toward the childhood and he will go to the school now. In the what the writer says, and then the whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face, creeping like snail unwillingly to school. Then the whining schoolboy. Whining means he is always complaining. He is always crying over every situation with his satchel. School bag should be there. School bag will be there. And shining morning face. Every time when the child will wake up, he is looking like a bright sun for mother and for every person in the house. They are maybe one type of a gift of the, we can say, God, always fresh and always bright. But when they wanted to go to the school, they started to creep like a snail. Comparison, they are creeping like a snail, very unwilling, not willing to go to the school, not willing to accept any responsibility. They want to go to the school due to the enforcement which is created by mother and father or the family member or the social responsibilities. But what is the important, that in the second stage, that boy will be the school boy and he is with the satchel, bag will be there, school bag will be there, and he never wanted to go to the school. What is the important part, my dear friend? There is a shining morning face, creeping like a snail, unwilling to the school. He not want to go to the school. In the third stage, somewhat improvement will be there. And then the lover, sighing like a furnace, with the woeful ballad made to his mistress' eyebrow. Now he will move toward the teenager, and when he will move toward the teenagership, what will be happen? Then he become the lover. He can love, that I am expressing with the masculine gender, maybe it can be also with the feminine gender, but for understanding I will use the masculine gender, that he then become the lover, sighing like a furnace. Do you know furnace? In the furnace, metal can be boiled, metal can be melt. Like that way, his passion related to the love with the lover is associated. He is boiling inside, he is eager inside, he is passionate inside for the love of his lover. With a woeful ballad, sometime he will cry within the mind, he will not happy with the relationship with the lover. At that time he will sing the song like a woeful ballad. Woeful ballad. Now to ballad means sad poem or a song. Ballad is it is another we can say, according to the poetical aspect, ballad is a different word. Ballad is a short poem, long poems which are associated with the upliftment of the great characters of the past. But what is the important part here? That made to his mistress eyebrow. On the small part of the, here William Shakespeare is using a very big word, made to his mistress eyebrow. On the mistress eyebrow only, he can sing a song like a sad song or tragic song, like a woeful ballad. He can sing that type of a song on the one aspect of the lover also. But he is always passionate. He is always passionate about his love, about his relationship. That can be happen into the third stage of the human being in his life, in the third stage of his life. Then the fourth stage will come. Then a soldier full of strange oaths and bearded like the part, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation, even the cannon's mouth. And then the justice. I will explain that line very neatly. After that, he can take the responsibility at the age of we can say when he will become somewhat adult. At that time, when he will become the youth, at that time he will take the responsibility. He can become the soldier full of strange oaths. He can take the strange oaths. He can give the strange promises. He can accept any challenges. Why the strange oath has been said here? Because he can take any challenges. He can take any, we can say, responsibility. Bearded like a part. He will be always fearless. Fierce like a part. What is mean by part? Part. Here meaning has been given. Part means leopard here. Small leopard. Small leopard. Like that way, he can always ready to face the danger. Face the danger. Jealous in honor. He is always jealous for the honor. Sudden and quick in a quarrel. Any type of the sudden and quick in the quarrel means he is not associated every time in the quarrel. But he can take the part in any responsible situation. He wanted to prove himself. He wanted to take the reputation. He wanted to make a reputation. He wanted to make the reputation by his own work. That type of development he can do in the fourth stage. He is always ambitious. He is always responsible. He is always ready, jealous also to take the honor, to gain the honor. And last line is very important here. Seeking the bubble reputation, even the cannon's mouth. Seeking the bubble reputation. Remember one thing. At the cannon mouth, what is meant by the cannon mouth? It is a phrase. At the facing, when somebody will face the great danger, at that time also he wanted to face that danger. He wanted to fight against the danger. He wanted to prove himself. He wanted to tell himself that yes, I can do something different from other people. I can prove myself. And that line is very important. Seeking the bubble reputation. Reputation, but which type of a reputation? Bubble. What is the quality of the bubble? It can be evaporated within the second. Same way, some reputations which are not much valuable for the human being at that time in the youth, that will not give him a lot much more fame, or that will not give him the reputation also, but he wanted that type of a fame in his life, that type of a bubbly reputation in his life. In actual sense, there is no value of that reputation, but he want to prove himself in a eager way because he used to be very ambitious. And then the justice, he would justify himself. And in the next stage also, in the fifth stage also, he will justify, because it is a middle stage. In that middle stage, somewhat a human being will get the experience of life, and he used to think like that way, that I am a very, we can say, knowledgeable person. I am a knowledgeable person in every field. I am the knowledgeable person in each and every section of the life. That's why in the fifth stanza, or in the fifth stage of life, in the few stanzas, writer or the poet William Shakespeare want to tell us something new. What he says: in fair round belly with good cap on line, with eyes severe and beard of a formal cut. Now look, in fair round belly with good cap on line, after the, we can say, youth or adult life, when he will become somewhat mature life, he will start to live. In that fifth role as a matured middle-aged human being, he wanted to tell, Shakespeare wanted to tell us new thing, that his body will become somewhat fat, round belly with good cap on line. Good cap on line means what? Totally. What is the cap on line? X is fat and due to the careless eating habits will be generate on the body. And with eyes severe, with eyes severe is the word. With eyes severe, what type of eyes were there? Severe eyes and beard of a formal cut. That line is indicating that he is just moving towards the maturity. That human being want to live somewhat mature life with the comfortness and make small ideology, his own ideology he wanted to develop. Eyes severe means what? He was looking towards the human being. Whenever he is looking towards the human being, maybe he is looking with a suspicious way, and he is always think like that way, that in argument with the other human being I will be the much more knowledgeable. That type of a maturity, false maturity actually, because according to that particular human being, that is the knowledge of the life. For other human being, he is a different character on the world stage. He can got different, he can get different example, he can get the different experience of life, and his ideology will be different. But writer says in the middle age life, he will become fat, he will be indicates that I will be the much mature, he will start to follow his own ideology, full of wise saws and modern instances. Full of wise saws and modern instances. He will full of wise saying. Due to his own life, he will develop one ideology, and according to his ideology, he will tell the people that this is the examples you should follow. These are the philosophy of a life, philosophy of a business, philosophy of a world. That type of saws means sayings he can say to the people with modern instances. Modern instances means what? With a modern example, he can tell different example to you according to his own maturity. But remember one thing, that maturity is only associated with himself. That maturity is only according to his life experience. Maybe other human being who will be the character as far as world stage is concerned, he can get more maturity, more experiences, and his ideology will be different. He said that type of a life common human being live in the fifth stage. And so he plays his part. He plays the part according to his standards. That human being plays the part, play the role according to his own ideology, according to his own philosophy, or according to his own understanding of the life. The sixth age shifts into the lean and slipper pantaloon with spectacles on nose and pouch on side. His youthful hose will save a world too wide for his sank and his big manly voice turning again towards the childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound. Now, long stanza is there. One by one line I will tell you. Then the sixth age will become. When the sixth age will become, at that time one important thing is there, that human being will become much more elder, much more old. And what will happen in that? He will become lean, pantaloon means his trouser will be slip from his waist, he will have got the good spectacles with the various maybe measurement will be there, and the pouch to the side. Which type of a pouch? Maybe medicines pouch, maybe other addiction pouch will be his side, and he is keeping that with him always. His youthful hose. What is meant by youthful hose? Close fitting, covering for the legs, which he has preserved from his youth life, from the life of a youth. He had preserved that he, maybe that human being will think like that way, that man will think like that way. When I will become an old human being, I can use it. He will preserve that, save that. But now it will become so much wide, that become so much, we can say, totally big for his size. Sunk, then his legs from the knees to the ankle, it will started to shrunk. It will started to become lot much more narrow, and maybe physically he will start to become lot much more thin. and his big manly voice, that is the most important point. That is the most important thing. That his big manly voice turning again towards the childish treble. Now treble here 3 times weaker than. Actually treble means 3 times stronger than. But here the meaning is like that way. Turning again toward childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound. What will be happen? When the human being become weirder, suddenly teeth will drawn out. Teeth will just make the way for them. And when he will speak with other people, due to without teeth, if somebody is speaking, then sounds come like whistle and like pipe. That type of condition will be happen. Then his sound will become very, very weaker. Maybe he will become, that sound will become lot much more thinner, and somewhat it is that manly voice sound in the at the time of youth, at the time of middle age, at the time of maybe somewhat elder age, and when he will become old, that quality of the voice will become thin. That quality of the voice will started to shrill, and control over the words will gone away. And this will be happen in the 6th stage. This will be happen at the old age stage. And now what will be happen whenever he talks, he sounds like a shrill, like a whistling. He will speak with the people. But it should be happen. It will be happen. It is a cycle of the nature. Everybody want to go through this particular cycle. Same way human being is performing another character of an old man in the 6th stage. And last stage is a very important stage. Last scene of all that ends this strange eventful history. Now last scene of all that ends this strange eventful history. Strange eventful history of a human being. Remember what will be happen, that everybody's history, every human being, man or a woman, who perform the role or the character on the world stage, they started to maybe become somewhat agey. They will become somewhat lot much more elderly. They started to lose the control over his body, like a child, like a newborn baby. Dependency will be on another people. Now dependency will be again on the another people. Now dependency will be again on the another person. One magical thing is there. What is the magical thing? When we are child, nothing we know about our life, upcoming life. But when we become elder, when we become the old, when we become the maybe dotage age, at the time of a dotage, what will be happen? Human being know everything. Human being knows everything, that what type of a life I have just gone through. And when the dependency will come, somewhat mind is not accepting that. What the writer says, last scene of all that end this strange eventful history, in second childishness and mere oblivion, sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything. Last stage of a human being, that is a dotage. We lost our control. We lost our life. In this maybe the last phase of the life, last stage of a life, man become the dependent again on the other people. Eventful history for one character itself. Every character is a eventful history on the stage of a world. Maybe when we compare the world and the stage, when we take the world as a stage, then every human being's history is a different. And it is one type of a different history, one type of a different experience, one type of different philosophy, but it start to come to an end. Again human being move towards the second childishness. What is the childishness? Childishness means he wanted to behave like a child. He lose control over the body. He lose control over the mind. He lose control over the physical condition. And suddenly the wake-up call that now you have to live the life, that will start to make an alarm in his ear, that will be happen, and mere oblivion. And last condition, mere oblivion. What is meant by mere oblivion? The state of being unaware or unconscious of surroundings and happenings will be happen with the human being, and one day the death will grasp him into his arm. That will be happen. Sans teeth. At the time of last, there will be no teeth in our mouth. Sans eyes. Eyes are not giving lot much more support to us. Sans taste. We lose the taste from the tongue, and sans everything. Everything will become not valuable for us. It is again become useless for us. What we have gained in our life, that will be the question at the time of maybe dying human being or the dying soul. That the thing William Shakespeare want to tell us in this poem. I think we have to stop now, but before stop here, we have to think about what the poem has told to us. One thing I want to tell us in last. Every stage we lost something from previous stage. We thought that we achieve a lot, but its value is like bubble in this big world and in this big nature. That is happen with the human being. Now I can say from this description you can understand the poem very easily, very nicely. I want to tell you, in the first and second line there is a metaphor, third line there is also metaphor and alliteration. In the maybe line called as sighing like a furnace, there is a transfer epithet, and we can say there is alliteration also. And when we will think about his youthful whose well say a world too wide, alliteration is there in that line. But one most important here used by Shakespeare is onomatopoeia. In the last line, turning again towards the childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound. That is indication of the sound. And before we have to stop, that use of a onomatopoeia, poetic device, has been used by Shakespeare very nicely in the line, even the cannon's mouth and then the justice, inversion, that type of figure of speech the Shakespeare has used. I will take another video for it. I will make another video for it with the example. I will describe how transfer epithet is also there, maybe onomatopoeia is also there, metaphor is also there. Everything I will describe in detail, but as far as description of the poem is concerned, I think you have understood it very properly. And maybe if you will not understand, read it again and again. Try to understand with your own, with the help of my video. Try to read another reference books. Maybe Shakespeare's poems are very magical poems. Everybody can get the different meaning from it. If your meaning will just touch your heart, if it will touch my heart also, share with me. I want to share ideas with you related to the Shakespeare poems, and you have to also just share your ideas related to the Shakespeare poem. But this is one of the critical poem according to me to teach. But remember one thing, for everybody its meanings are different, but this monologue is teaching us that life is fictitious, and whatever we are doing only for our own experiences. There are various characters on this stage of a world, and in the world they are performing various roles, various characters. Shakespeare has divided that character into the seven stages, and in every stage what the performance had been done by the actors, we have seen that. Now I think it is a goodbye from Bhasha Dynamics. Thank you very much for hearing me. Thank you very much.